All right, guys. Welcome back to the Monday Night Live. Good to
What's
see everybody.
happening? All right. What is this? Monday Night Live number 101?
102.
102.
Yeah,
Man, these
they
things
just keep coming.
They just keep coming. They just keep more and more and more. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It
seriously.
really is crazy that we've done 100 of them.
Well, tonight, guys, we have a special episode. We're going to bring on a guest speaker who has just completed her first flip. We thought everybody would get a kick out of that and get the opportunity to ask someone some questions who's not done a few hundred flips, someone who's in the trenches now, learning about it, learning about what surprised her, what she was expecting, what was easier than she thought it would be, what was harder. So that's going to be very exciting tonight. Do we have any announcements to get through before we kick off?
I don't have any. Do you, Don?
Nope, I got a sty. That's about it. That's the announcement.
You got a sty in your eye? Yeah, you look like you've been in a boxing match. Wow.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I think that would be more entertaining than this thing. This thing sucks.
That does not sound fun.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
A bummer. All right, let's bring Lynn up.
Yeah.
And guys, as McKenna's bringing Lynn up, I'll set the stage. So Lynn Garrison and we just completed her first flip in Orlando, Florida. And Lynn has a real talent for design and keeping contractors in line and making sure we get the best price. You do, Lynn. I mean, you laugh, but you did an excellent job. So as we're having the conversation, if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat, especially around this design area and dealing with contractors, because I think, Lynn, it was great, and we can talk about how we found the house, because you actually found it ahead of time and you were trying to buy it, and then it went to a foreclosure sale. So right. Lynn, thank you very much for coming and sitting down and talking to us, and congratulations on completing your first flip. And we'll show pictures and stuff too. You want to just say hi? Introduce yourself real quick.
Okay, I'm Lynn Garrison. I actually am very good friends with Linda, Robbie's wife. We were tennis partners at one time, and I knew that they were
killers.
In
they were line one, beating everybody in Orlando for a couple of years.
I don't know about that, but I bossed Linda around on the court a lot too. I don't just boss the contractors around. I bossed Linda around.
She says you're still like setting an example when you guys go do yoga and work out. And she's like, "Oh my God, Lynn just kicks my butt."
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Anyway, so I knew that we found out that the house that I found went into foreclosure, and I did not know a lot about the auction world. So Linda and Robbie joined in with me and helped me through the auction. We kind of sat down and did that together. It was online in Orlando, and we were able to get the house. We paid a little bit more than we wanted to. There were a lot of people bidding on that property, and sight unseen. We had not been inside the property, so we didn't know what we were going to get into. And it was a real mess. It was a lot. I think, Robbie, they took off like 3 dumpster fulls of junk.
At least. Yeah, at least. This is one, guys. This is the house with the bottled urine. So you guys know we've done other content about it. It was a bit of a hoarder house. And one of those things where it's no good deed goes unpunished. We rented back to the guy who lost the house at the foreclosure sale for a year, and then at the end of it, he refused to leave, and we had to evict him. And it had its challenges.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
And it was a big renovation, Lynn. That was
it was huge. Well, there was a lot of electrical and AC stuff to do that we weren't sure we were going to have to do, but we did.
Yeah,
and so
we had to do everything.
That added. We did. We did the entire house.
We had to do plumbing, electrical, even a little bit of foundational stuff, which we normally don't have to do. The left side of the house.
Oh yeah,
a little bit. Yeah. We had to float the floor.
Yeah,
and we had to put the roof
we turned
on
that
it.
back. We turned a back porch into a master bedroom.
Yes.
So added another bedroom, which was nice, but yeah, there was some work to be done there. So,
McKenna, do you have some pictures of this so we can pull it up, let people see, and we can kind of talk about it through pictures too.
Let's see what we got here.
Hopefully he'll have the before and after.
I think
We
I do.
definitely have to show the before because it's an incredible transformation. And if you just show the after, people are like, "Oh, that's a pretty house. What a great looking house." And you're like, "Oh yeah," but you don't know what I started with.
You don't know where it came from. Oh man. All right, I'm pulling it up now. And hey guys, if you have any questions in the chat here for us, for Lynn, anything about what we're talking about, put it in the chat. We'll bring it up. Let us know where you're watching from. Say hi. We've got 20 people watching, so I love to know who's here and talk to everybody. But let me share my screen here. Can you guys see this?
There it is.
All right. So this is the befores. And you can see, you know, it's okay on the outside, not too crazy. But as you start to go through, you can just see how gross and dirty it is. And honestly, I mean, looking at this still, you can even tell it's not in bad shape under all of the trash and the filth. But it takes a lot of vision to be able to walk in here. And guys, it smells just as bad as you think it does.
It was horrible. The smell was, Linda was so scared the smell wasn't going to come out.
It just takes a lot of vision to be able to look at this and know what it can be and to get past everything that you're seeing in front of your eyes.
Right.
And that's something that a lot of people can't do. So those are some befores. Let's see what I've got here. Some more. Cute little cat. Here's the backyard. We found some bullet holes on the side of the house. I mean, there was a lot going on here. And then let me pull up the listing photos for everybody because man, did it come out really nice.
Yeah, and you know, so this is South Orlando, guys. This is 32809, which is a really good. It's a really good neighborhood for people like us who find distressed stuff and renovate it and then put it back on the market. Look how pretty that is, though. I mean, this is a house that anyone would be happy to live in. And guys, all of this, all of the design and the way this came out, this is 100% Lynn. Lynn and Linda, I think, went and did this design.
We did. Linda and I picked out all the tile and
yeah, it came out really good, Lynn. Really good.
Thanks. Our final thing was trying to decide if we were going to paint the exterior, and what a huge difference that made. It just made the house. The curb appeal was so much better after painting the brick.
Yeah, I like doing that, you guys. As a general rule right now, I think that painted brick
that's very popular.
Is very popular right now.
For sure.
So if you go back to the original picture, McKenna, it was that red brick, and it just looks dated. You know, it could have been fine, but when you do that extra step and you paint the brick, yeah, look at that.
Big difference there.
It's a pretty big transformation. Yeah. We took out trees. We put on a roof. Replaced most of the windows and doors. That kitchen, we thought we would save at one point, but we didn't end up saving it.
Yeah, we were hoping we were going to save that kitchen, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, we didn't save any of the clothes or bottled urine. We just went ahead and threw that stuff out rather than try and save.
You got rid of that?
We got rid of that stuff.
He was saving that for you guys, and you just threw it away. I can't believe it.
You know, something about people who get themselves in trouble, they tend to not be fixing things up because they don't have money. So this guy was living in that house, and neither bathroom worked. I think for a little while, the bathroom that actually ends up being the master bedroom bath did originally work when we bought the house, but by the end, I think he didn't have a place where he could use the bathroom, so he just figured out another system that was pretty gross.
So
and I don't think that it was always in the bottles.
Yeah, you know,
not by the smell of it.
Exactly. So sometimes it just hit the floor.
So we've got a couple good questions here, but what I'd like to do is we've got one question here asking about the numbers. So let's talk about the math on this. What you guys bought it for, what you renovated it for, what you sold it for, and then let's go back and kind of talk about, Lynn, what your expectations were going into the project, what they were during the project. What surprised you, what didn't surprise you.
Okay.
But let's start with the numbers. Can you guys tell that story?
I think so. Off the top of my head, I believe we bought this house at the foreclosure sale for like $188,000. Does that sound right, Lynn?
Yeah,
Roughly.
that's it.
Maybe and change.
They started the bids at 40,000.
Yeah. So this had a wild spread.
Mhm.
And that's an interesting part of the story too, because Lynn, when you first got it, you were trying to buy it directly from the seller, and we were just gonna bring it out of foreclosure and pay the guy some money.
Yeah.
But he was a little bit crazy, and he was fighting with someone else, another company that was trying to buy it. He had a big sign on it, I remember, that said, "Don't do business with this company. They tried to steal my house."
Right. And it wasn't us. It was the other people.
Yeah, it wasn't Lynn. It wasn't Lynn. And that day that it went to the foreclosure sale, he actually made about 150 grand, like above and beyond, right? So the bank was owed 40, and then everything above that is what's called an overage. And so we went to him and we said, "Look, you've got all of this money. We'll help you to get the overage," because he was completely unequipped to be able to go get the money from the government. If we weren't there to show him how to do that, it just wasn't going to happen for him.
No.
So we got him the money, about 150 grand, and then we rented the house back to him for a year. And he had the dream of trying to buy it back and so he rented it at about market rent, and maybe a little bit of a premium. We did pretty well on the rent.
It was a little higher than I think than market.
Yeah, I mean, and actually knowing the
Market
condition
for a nice house, maybe.
yeah, we
Right.
rented market for the nice house, and it wasn't that
I mean,
nice.
he was still living in it. It wasn't renovated.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
he was still living in it as
We
is.
did do some work to it while he was there, but he wouldn't let us in the house even while he was
Right.
there. So
Right.
we fixed the roof, we stopped it from leaking, and we took out some trees and stuff, painted the outside of the house at that time. And then
we painted the trim and then decided later that we were going to
redo the brick
together.
Yeah, which was definitely the right choice.
Mhm.
Yeah, so $188,000 is what we purchased it for.
Mhm.
Our renovation turned out to be about 90 grand.
Yeah.
I think. 90, 95.
Yeah.
Which makes sense in today's market. I would call this a big renovation. Like basically
Yeah.
there was nothing in the house that was really untouched. I mean, I guess we didn't have to do anything with the walls and the floor, but we replaced the roof, the windows, the doors, the plumbing, the electric. We even had to float a floor, which means that it had some settlement. We had to fix that.
Mhm.
We had to add in extra power, put in a new AC. I can't think of anything.
There was a lot.
I can't think of anything we didn't do.
Yeah, there was even a plumbing issue in the front, and it ended up the plumber had to break apart the sidewalk, so then that had to be taken care of.
And didn't we take out trees too and stuff like that?
We did. We took out some small trees in the back, and
You guys mentioned the ARV by any chance?
Yeah, so we originally thought our ARV was probably going to be right at around $350,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then we let them stay there for a year. The ARV probably went up or stayed roughly the same, but we did a really nice renovation, and we ended up selling or getting it under contract. And we'll talk about that too, because we have it under contract right now, and it's going to close before the end of the month at $365,000, I believe. Is that right, Lynn?
Yes, that's correct.
365 grand. So
yeah,
we were all in at about 280,000 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
correct? Right?
Those numbers are correct. That's correct.
Yeah. So the renovation was more than we expected. The ARV was we got every bit of the ARV plus a little bit probably.
Right.
Yeah. And that's really because of you, Lynn. That's because you did such a good job on the renovation.
Thanks, Robbie.
We say all the time as value add real estate investors, we're not generally setting the market. And I don't think we're selling this house as the highest priced house in the market ever for that neighborhood. but we're at the top of the market, and
Mhm.
that's because you did a really good job on the renovation.
Well, thank you.
So at the end of the day, I think we'll make, and I can, someone got a calculator? Let's say we just rough math.
You're gonna make around like 87,000. I didn't take away any realtor fees or any of that stuff. Gross.
There's lots
Yeah,
of
let's
costs.
call it 70 grand after closing costs and everything. We're paying for everything too. So we're paying for, this is a first time home buyer that is getting an FHA loan, and that's an interesting story we can talk about in just a minute.
Yeah.
But we're paying for closing costs for them. Obviously, there was a realtor involved in it. So I think we're going to net 65 or 70 grand on 275,000. If we call it 65 grand divided by 275, that's a 24%. That's what I think we're probably going to net, something like that. It could be a little bit more than that. We haven't seen the final HUD.
Lynn,
Shouldn't be.
Sorry, not Lynn. Lynn, so this is your first flip. Why don't you tell us all how you went through the process of like how to put a plan together, get the contractors, and then source all the materials?
I had a couple of names, Robbie had a couple of names, and we had them come by the property and talked to them and decided to go with one of them, which we later, I think, regretted a little bit. He was very slow. I think McKenna had worked with him in the past. McKenna said, he does great work, but he's really slow. Yeah, he was extremely slow. I think it was too big of a job for him, to be honest with you. But you don't know that going in. You're kind of winging it. And he didn't do terrible work. He did good work, but he just, sometimes didn't show up for a few days. So
for a week at a time, for a few days.
Yeah, sometimes a week at a time. Yeah. And that was a funny story because I realized later that I knew him. His daughter had coached my daughter in volleyball like years earlier. So that was kind of a funny story. But I don't know. That's where we started at. And then we decided to go with the one guy. And he started, Linda and I went and, we kind of got in there. And of course, once we got in there, we realized that there was a lot of electrical to be done. There was a lot of plumbing to be done, which actually, I think a couple of the other estimates that we had gotten from the other contractors, they were higher, but I think they were really including those things, whereas Dave necessarily didn't. But we probably spent less because we kind of subcontracted out the plumbing and ourselves. So we weren't going through the contractor and, him getting his little piece of that. So that was probably ended up in the long run, and it ended up being a better thing. Okay. And then once we started getting all the plumbing and everything done, once we got further along, Linda and I started picking everything out. And that's kind of how we went. I kind of befriended a couple of people from Home Depot. I'm sorry.
What's the design process for you guys?
Meaning, I'm not sure what you're asking exactly.
To put the house together, like, hey, I'm gonna pick this kitchen, I'm gonna pick this color. Like, what's the process you go through?
Oh, okay. Well, I think a lot of it was because it was in a, like a somewhat of a lower end area. I mean, it's like Robbie said, it's a good area for a flip for somebody, like
first time home buyers would buy this house. Right?
Exactly.
This is starter home for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And, so I think that for me, I felt like we are having to spend more money than we thought we were going to have to spend on the plumbing and et cetera. So I kind of felt like we need to pick some things that are different than the neighborhood. They're not just the typical gray and white. I wanted some things that would really pop so that when it was shown online, people would go, wow, that's a great house for this area. And we didn't necessarily go higher end on the tile or anything like that. It was just really like the colors we chose. We somewhat stayed neutral, but of course we did the green cabinets in the kitchen, which is very popular right now. We did a lot of gold accents, which I think was great. we had talked about doing vinyl flooring, and we decided to go with the plank flooring, which I think was smart. But Linda and I kind of befriended a couple of people in the flooring department at Home Depot. And they were basically like our design team that was working with us. And it was great. It was great. I just talked to one of the girls the other day, and she was like, are you doing another flip anytime soon? Because I think, people like us come in there and it's fun for them to help, gives them something.
Did you happen to show that person to the after pictures?
I did. She loved
awesome.
it. Yeah,
Awesome.
she loved it.
I remember the design a little bit different. So, and any man will hear what I say and they'll probably agree with me that I would be asked by Lynn and Linda, my wife, hey, what do you think of this? And then I would pick something out and then they'd throw that one out. So here, we've got 3 tiles. Which one do you like? I love this one. This is the one okay, that's not it.
Well, the gray and white stuff is moving out now. So
yeah, for sure. That's true.
Yeah. That was in.
Well, it came out so good that the next flip that I do, we could basically, as far as I'm concerned, take everything that you guys did in that house and move it to the next house. And
you had said that. I mentioned that I would help Robbie with the design for his new flip, and he said, just do exactly what you just did.
Nothing needs to change.
Right. So, yeah. Anyway.
What surprised you, Lynn, in the process? I guess what's something that you expected to happen or didn't happen, or what's just a thought that you had going into it that didn't end up being true? Or
I thought everything was going to get done a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I didn't know we were going to
look at Adon. He's shaking his head.
For
he's
a
like,
year,
oh, what a
but
mistake.
we really, as far as like renting back to him for a year, and ended up being smart because we couldn't get him out as quickly as we would like to have. I honestly felt a little bit sorry for him because I didn't know where he was going to go. So we made, a little bit of money there, and it gave us time to kind of start investigating what needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So that ended up being better, but there was just so many things that popped up that needed to be done. The one bathroom, the plumbing wasn't connected, and, just a lot of stuff.
Surprises. Yeah.
A lot of surprises.
Yeah.
And big ticket.
The bathroom on the left side of the house just emptied into the backyard.
It did. That's what we realized. Yeah. It was emptying into the backyard. Kind of scary if you think about that.
It wasn't great. Yeah.
But, it all turned out in the end.
So Lynn, are you going to do another flip with us?
Yeah, I would love to do another flip with you guys.
Are you looking for more deals now?
I am. I have been looking. Yeah, I have my son looking out for me. So
Linda says you're looking all the time.
Yeah, I'm always looking. I still like that one over in College Park.
Well, did they take the offer?
No.
Yeah.
What's something that you would tell someone that's looking to do their first flip now that you're an experienced investor?
I think you have to really keep an eye on your contractor.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
A big one.
That's huge, because if I remember Linda and I were going to New York for the US Open in the middle of all this. And I made the mistake of telling my contractor that we were going to New York. And I don't think he did anything while we were gone for 5 days.
He wouldn't took another job or something while you were gone.
He was.
And there's a picture of the New York trip your mother sent you. You can pull that up.
All right.
Pictures are always fun to tell the stories with.
Yeah.
Lynn, by the way, what you're describing is every contractor in every place in the world.
I know. I mean, I have, this was my first flip, but I've done a lot of renovating on my own homes over the years. So I have learned a little bit about contractors over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So you want to talk about how you kept the contractor in line. And I mean, And what I'm asking is, how often did you have to stay in touch with him? And I know that it was a source of frustration because I was there. You were having
It was, and I
Linda
was
every
calling you
day.
sometimes and telling you how frustrating it was. I was showing up over there in the mornings to make sure he was there because it had been brought to my attention that he wasn't showing up until about noon every day. The plumber had shown up several times to do some things that he needed the contractor to complete before he could complete his part.
Mhm.
And he finally called me and was like, hey, I need to get this done, but I can't get it done because he hasn't done it. I went over there for the third time the other day. It was 11:30 in the morning. He wasn't there. I called him. It's just like back and forth. And then I think the plumber had charged us for something that he was doing. It was the basin shower.
Yep.
He was going to do that. And, the plumber had done some work for you guys previously.
What
Very
plumber
nice
did you guys
guy.
use?
Sonny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so, Sonny was very upfront with me and he said, listen, he said his tile guy knows how to do that. So I paid them $200 to do it. And then when we got the bill from the contractor, he was still trying to charge us for it too.
Yeah.
Because when I went into it, I didn't know that there's like certain little things that the plumber does and certain little things that the contractor does that kind of overlap. And so the contractor was saying that he was doing the shower base and all of that. And by the way, charging us like triple what the plumber was going to charge us for it. But he was basically trying to double dip. He got paid by the plumber to do it because he never had it ready for the plumber to do. And then he even said to the plumber, why did you tell her that you paid me? Now she's not going to want to pay me for it. I was like, well, of course I'm not. Of course I'm not. I mean, I think I ended up meeting with him and his wife at the end, and we ended up going through the entire estimate line by line because there were so many things on there that he was trying to charge us for that he had ultimately never done, because in the very end, we probably had a week's worth of work remaining, the detail stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. He could not handle the detail stuff. And I just said, you know what, we're just going to pay you. We're going to finish paying you and you're done. Because I couldn't deal with it anymore. And he still had a lot of that stuff on the estimate and was trying to charge us for it. So I'm glad we really went through it.
Yeah.
You guys
Line
were
by
very
line.
diligent about it, line by line by line.
Line by line. And we sat there and met with him and his wife for about 2 hours and went through it.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting about $1,800 taken off of it.
And then brought in another contractor to finish the punch list.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, guys, is something that happens quite often. Don's done that.
I've done that.
You've done that. This is something that's very, very common in the industry. People get what's called job creep, or they get tired of being on the job, or they've started the next job because they've run out of money on your job. So it's often a good idea to do what Lynn did, go through at the point of the punch list, and then come to an agreement, let them move on, and then bring in someone who it's fresh.
And what's interesting too is, Dave, who I've worked with before. I've done a lot of jobs with Dave. He's great with me, but then if I recommend him to someone else, or if it's just a new person, or this happens with all contractors, they might not do as good of a job for you as they will with somebody else. And
right.
That's pretty common to have that.
Has he done big jobs for you, McKenna?
Yeah.
He has.
Flip's just as big as the one you guys were doing.
Oh wow.
3 or 4 with me.
And you know what? Too. That's why when people ask, do you have a contractor that you recommend? The one place that we will really shy away from recommending a contractor is recommending a contractor, because of what McKenna just said. They may do a great job for us, and then they come and they don't do such a great job for the next person. Exactly. So this is just a very hard industry to say, hey, here's this guy. Now we have people in the community. If you're in our free community, or if you're in Apex, where we've got a preferred vendor list, and we've got people who are in the community that you can get quotes from. And you can use them, but people will continuously try to get us to make a recommendation, and we say the same thing time and again. We're not recommending a contractor.
Yeah.
We talked about Sonny. Sonny's a great plumber. I know he's a really good plumber, and we've used him for 20 years now. I don't like to give him as a recommendation to people either, because he shows up, he's a little bit dirty and gross, but as far as plumbing goes, he does a great plumber.
Job.
But he can rub.
He's got a little ponytail and stuff, but he does good work, and he's very nice.
Yes.
Jonah's actually, my son Jonah has actually used him now on one of his properties.
Oh, that's good.
So,
that's good. Sonny's got a little bit of extra work. We got a question here. How did we pay the contractors? Did you pay them once they were done, or did you pay them a percentage up front? We
paid them a percentage up front and draws as we went along. And there were times when he would come and say, it's time for another draw. And we'd start going through the stuff that he was supposed to have already done. And we were like, well, no, you still owe us for this and this and this. So you kind of have to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Because they definitely will try to get, more money out of you throughout the process.
Absolutely.
But with Dave, it just got to be where it was very near Thanksgiving, and we know how the market slows down around Thanksgiving and Christmas. And our agent was basically saying, if you don't get this house on the market soon, you're going to need to wait till like February, because you're going to be in a really, really slow season, and you don't want it sitting and then having to drop the price. So that's really was the final decision on Dave, because I thought it was going to be, the way he was moving, it was going to be another month. And we got him out of there and got the other guy in, and the other guy was done in like a week and a half. So
and that last 10%, guys, the detail work, always is so difficult. And everyone that does flips is going to experience that. The last 10% takes just as much time as the first 90%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because it's just harder. It's very difficult.
Very meticulous. Yeah. So, the little stuff like hardware on the kitchen cabinets and, the little tiny stuff. But turned out great. So.
Well, we saw a picture where you were up. Go back to the pictures, McKenna, where Lynn's up there doing some finishing touches on the ladder. That was around Thanksgiving, I think, as well. This is that timeline that we're talking about. And you guys, it is just a super important. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
It's super important to be diligent about going through those last little bits and making sure that you stay on top of the contractors, because they will push to get paid, and then they get ahead of you, and then they still don't finish the job. And now the way you did it, Lynn, we actually kept the $1,800 that we could then pay to the next guy. Was the next guy able to come in and finish for the $1,800 or less, or did it cost us a little extra money? A lot of times it'll cost us a little.
I feel like it was less.
Well, that's pretty impressive.
A little less. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive. Nicely done. So, how you pay your contractors, guys, if you've never done this before, you want to give them that percentage that they start with, so that they can buy materials and get started on the job. And then you want to do what Lynn does, and as they're asking for more draws, you want to go and match up what their quote said to what they've actually gotten done, and you have to it's sort of an art form to keep them on the leash, but yet keep the plywood ahead of them. So you've got to give them enough that they can keep going, but you can't let them get way ahead of you, or that's how you could lose a lot of money.
Yeah. And I think originally when we first spoke to Dave, didn't he want half up front?
Oh yeah. And we said, no, we don't do half up front.
Yeah. We were like, no, we're definitely not going to do that.
And that's someone I've worked with before, and we won't do half up front. I mean, that is, nobody needs that much up front. That's the thing.
That's crazy. But so he wanted the job, so he agreed to what we did. I think we did a fourth or a third or something.
Going about a third is about as high as we ever like to go.
Right.
What we really like to do is, and Adon does this often, is we want to stay in control of buying the materials, so that
we bought a lot of the materials.
Yep.
Yeah. We bought a lot.
That way we know the materials get bought. They're for our job.
Yeah.
If you just give someone half the money, they are inevitably going to use your money to buy the materials for the job that they were on before they got to your job or the next
Right.
job.
Mhm.
And you're gonna, and that's where you can get yourself in trouble. And I say this, guys, from
actually-
experience, because that's happened to me before.
Yeah,
more than once, unfortunately.
So we renovated a home that we were moving into at one time in Lancaster Park in downtown Orlando. And I mean, we were doing a huge kitchen renovation. It was a 1926 house, and the house still had the original kitchen cabinets in it. Okay. So we were gutting the whole thing. And we had given the contractor the money for the cabinets. And I was in touch with the cabinet company, the design team there. And finally, the girl literally broke down crying on the phone with me one day and said, I need you to come up here. I got to talk to you. And when I got up there, because I was calling saying, oh, are the cabinets in yet? When are the cabinets coming in? And when I got up there, she told me that he had never paid for the cabinets. He had made a deal with her boss to use our money to get the cabinets for another project. And it was just a whole big mess. I mean, it was, yeah, it was, I mean, undoubtedly we fired him. But yeah, it was, and we were lucky to find somebody that was willing to come in, and we did get the money back from him. Basically, we threatened him.
Wow. You're very fortunate though to get money back from a contractor. A lot of times you don't. And
well, you know, and the funny thing was, I was friends with his wife. And from what I understand later, I could tell during the whole thing that I felt like she did not want us to hire her husband, but I couldn't figure out why. And later I realized that it was because she didn't trust him to, you know, I think he had ran into some issues like this before.
Yeah.
And
she
I
didn't
think
want it
he
to
really
affect
just gave
friendship
us the
and that kind
money
of stuff.
because I had the relationship with his wife, and
Yeah.
she was probably threatening him. So we were able to get the money back. But yeah, you really have to keep an eye on them, because you're right, Robbie. Sometimes they're just using your money to finish off paying for something else. And, you know,
that's the way that business goes
It's
often.
For sure.
That's Life has asked, when you were going line by line, how did you confirm that things were done or not? Did you ask the contractor and have him show you, or rely on his word, or did you just go look at it?
I went in and looked. We went in and looked.
You were very hands-on.
Done. Yeah, we were. Yeah. I mean, I was telling you earlier, I went by there every morning. You know, at the end, I was going by at like 11:30 to see if he was there yet. I was also going by around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And it was so interesting because one day I left at 5 o'clock and they seemed like they were really working.
Yep.
And I went down the street and remembered I had left something at the house. I wasn't gone maybe 15 minutes. I got back and they were all gone. So after that, I started going at 5 o'clock and staying until 6 o'clock.
Then you just watch them work, huh?
It's awesome. It's a magician's trick, like a disappearing act. Oh, she's gone. We're gone.
Yeah. I mean,
that's very common
crazy.
as well.
I mean, it literally could not have been more than 15 minutes. And there were 3 trucks there. They were all gone.
So there's another interesting part of the story. You know, when you do these first deals, you learn a ton, and hopefully you've learned some stuff along the way. But something we're learning again at right now in real time. We had a buyer who's a first-time home buyer, and I said earlier, we're paying all their closing costs, and we're bending over backwards for them to be able to buy this house. And we were supposed to close two or 3 weeks ago. But when it got to the time to close, the bank went and re-pulled their credit, and their credit was marginal anyways, guys. And they had gone out and done something that caused their credit to drop. And so then we had to make a decision. Do we give them a window of time to cure their credit? And that's what we've done. And it looks promising. Hopefully it's going to close next week. We're expecting it to. Yeah. But you guys, you got to really stay on top of people and coach them up. We weren't really in touch with these buyers, but had we been, we could have said, hey, don't go buy a new car. when you're
Right.
buying a house. Get through that first, right?
Right.
But
Yes, please.
I mean, we laugh, right? But that is
Yeah.
that is
But
what
they're
happened
young,
here.
first-time home buyers. They don't know.
Yep.
You know, and a lot of times when you open up, like I think that they initially might have thought, well, this is going to help improve our credit because they only had 2 lines of credit. So now I guess they have a third. And, you know, initially when you open a new line of credit, your score will go down.
Yep.
Sometimes like 20 or 30 points. But then after, you know, 4 to 6 weeks, it jumps back up again. So I think that may have been what happened. I think, you know, I mean, I don't know if they financed some new furniture or car or what, but, you know, and I don't think it's really typical that underwriting will go and run your credit again. But I think because there was only I think something stood out to them. Maybe the fact that they only did have the 2 lines of credit. So they just randomly did it. And lo and behold, it was 20 points down. So,
and hopefully it's going to come back up. The mortgage broker thinks that they can get it back up and that we'll be safe to close next week.
yeah,
we'll see. So we need good thoughts and prayers, you guys, that their credits come back up.
Yeah, so we were just kind of at a point where we were like, well, we are in January. The market is still a little slow, you know, from after the holidays. So we kind of felt like we might as well give them a couple of weeks and see what happens. And then, you know, I think it's going to be fine now. It seems to be.
Yeah. Do we have any other
prayers
questions
would be good.
out there? Prayers, guys. We love prayers. The power of prayer is amazing.
Please. Well, guys, while we're waiting for more questions, why don't you hit the like button, subscribe, do all this stuff. Let people know about the show. But let me go through the chat here. I don't know that we answered this question from Lewis right at the beginning. Lewis, I hope you're still here. Is it possible to auction a typical home rather than using a traditional realtor? Lewis, are you looking for a home to live in, or do you mean like this kind of home that they did where it's a fix and flip when you say typical home? But we can answer it both ways.
Yep. It certainly is always possible to take a home through auction. There are auction companies that will handle it. We like Central Casa Subasta in Puerto Rico, and we've auctioned several homes on the island of Puerto Rico. So that's been one way that we have liquidated properties over the years on the island. I've never taken a home where I've fully renovated it and then given it to an auctioneer and just auctioned it off. That I think could work, but it does come with some risk. And so we prefer to just go on, especially in Florida. The sales side of the business works so well by just putting it on the MLS in Florida. Like this house, we put it on the MLS. We used Lynn's son actually as our realtor, and we got multiple offers within a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we just take advantage of in Florida a sales system that works really, really well. In Puerto Rico, we've tried to think outside of the box a little bit more because the efficiencies just aren't there. The MLS isn't efficient, and even
that's
if
what I was going to ask you. It's not the typical. It's not like the MLS here.
It's not anything close to the MLS here. So
okay.
They put things on an MLS and nobody ever sees it. You don't get the multiple offers. Most of the time what it is you hire a realtor and they sell to their limited Rolodex of people that are looking for houses. So we try to do a lot of open listings on the island. We do take things to the auction sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Other questions, McKenna?
Let's see if any more have popped up here.
You guys, if you have questions about design, I think Lynn could answer them. She did a phenomenal job with that. If you want to talk about other stuff, we could talk about other stuff. What's the best way to buy in Puerto Rico without the MLS? Adon, you're up.
Facebook Marketplace, Clasificado Online, a wholesaler, foreclosure auction, there's no real great place to go look at. It's just you got to look at everything everywhere and just find the best deal.
Yeah, we like to do on market stuff, Lewis, on the island of Puerto Rico. So there are 300,000 vacant zombie houses on the island that aren't, most of them aren't for sale. And people will ask all the time, how do you find the sellers and things like that? We generally don't do that. We don't chase those properties. We look for the stuff that is for sale, has a for sale sign, has a realtor, or it's on Facebook Marketplace, like Adon said. Those people that do find the sellers of those zombie houses, they make a mint. So we've got a couple people in the community that specialize in that. And whenever they get one, they can wholesale it and make big fees. So if you're interested in chasing those down, it can be a long process. I mean, you might work on a property for a year or two, but then if you're working on 10 at a time and you get 3 of them and you get to make 40, 50 grand each time you do it on a $100,000 house, that's a pretty good living you can make. But we like to just buy the on market stuff. So we try to network with realtors, with other buyers, people who might have houses. Now, Adon mentioned wholesalers. Recently, we've been buying from wholesalers on the island, and we go to auctions too. So Central Casa Subasta, where we've sold some things, we've also bought a dozen or so. Or Deschaux is another one. We've bought dozens of houses from the Banco Popular. They have a site called Deschaux. It's not an auction. It's just where they put their bank-owned properties, and we look there. So we leave no stone unturned.
Are the auctions online like they are?
They are now. Yeah, it used to be that they were all live, but now they're at least a combination of live or online live.
Okay.
And,
okay. And do you have Zillow there? I think Lewis is asking.
We do have Zillow there, and Zillow's starting to have a little bit more data, but it's only just now really starting to be kept up to date in a way that makes sense. But we look on Zillow sometimes. Red Atlas, we use Red Atlas for things. What?
Yeah, Zillow.
What, Adon? Go ahead.
Zillow just doesn't have good information there, and you can't really contact the realtors directly most of the time. They want you to go through their system or something like that, and then you get called from them. So the same listings you'll see on Zillow, you could find on any of these other websites I referred to, and find the direct contact to the realtor.
Selfless plug, because I'm actually sitting here thinking about how do we buy properties, and right now the last several properties that either Adon and I have bought or McKenna and I have bought have come right from our Apex community.
Yes,
that's our subscription-based community, which, by the way, Lynn was one of our original Apex members. I don't know if you're still in Apex or not, Lynn, but you were there with us when we first started out.
Yeah.
And if you are in Apex, you know that there's always deals popping in there. And as the community grows, the bigger it gets, the more deals that there will be in there. So I think probably the best way to find a really great deal on the island of Puerto Rico is by being in Apex.
I'm going to put the link in there right now, guys.
I think we should, because for what, $127 a month, you can get the best deals on the island. All you got to do is be a part of the community. By the way, if you're just starting out and maybe you've never done a deal before, like Lynn, let's talk about that, Lynn. Did you come from a super wealthy family and you had a silver spoon in your mouth, and so you became a real estate investor and you just went into the trust fund and paid for it?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
That's almost never the story, right? Like, so people think that because we say we're real estate investors that we're always just using our own money and that we have endless deep pockets. Yeah. And like we're what's that rich duck, Daffy Duck's rich uncle? We're swimming in money.
Scrooge McDuck, I think.
Scrooge McDuck, yeah, we're just swimming in money, and then, but that's not the case. And if you're a part of our Apex group, we have people in there that want to fund your deals, that will either partner with you or that would lend you money. Lynn and I, when we bought this house, I actually went to someone who I'd done a bunch of deals with, and he put up the lion's share of the money, and then Lynn and I split the cost of the renovation. So we got a partner who came in with all of the money to buy it, and then we split the renovation cost.
And And I would say this too, guys, is that uh, it's very easy. I know Adon just got 2 deals funded in the Apex by making a post. I'm working on raising some capital today. I put a chat in the WhatsApp group that we have for the Apex members, and I had 5 or 6 people message me and say, "Hey, McKenna, I want to hear about your deal. I'm interested. Tell me more information, please."
Wow.
Like, it's not, people are excited in there to talk about deals. So it's not a very scary process. But I think a lot of people get very intimidated by the idea of trying to raise capital, of figuring out how to pay for these big houses, because it is expensive. But there are people out there that really want to do these deals with you.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're right there at the end. I told you it'd take about an hour, Lynn. We've
Yeah,
got a
you're
few more
right.
minutes if someone wants to pop a question here in under the gun. Otherwise, we can say goodnight.
We've had a quiet crowd tonight, but we've stayed at about 30 people this whole time. So, say goodnight, everybody. Say hi. We'd love to talk to you.
I always think it's interesting to see and hear from new people who are doing things that, weren't doing it before. And so, Lynn, congratulations on doing your first deal. You were an excellent partner, and we hope that we can do another one with you.
We would love to. I would love to. It was a lot of fun.
And you guys, you could be sitting with Lynn. Bring us a great deal. That's how we expand our business, through partnerships. That's really what we've been doing for the last 8 years on the island of Puerto Rico. And if you got a great deal, show us an Apex.
Please. All right. Well, I guess that'll be it for the night then. Everybody, have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow for our Shark Tank.
Yep. Let's talk about Shark Tank real quick before we.
I was about to hit the button, so right on the end there.
Well, saved it under the gun, because Shark Tank tomorrow will actually go through deal analysis, guys, and we'll talk about why is something a good deal or why it's not a good deal. I guess you can infer from the name Shark Tank, we pick these deals apart and we let people know what we think, whether we would possibly change the structure, or that it's just a great deal and you should run to the bank and do it, or it's a terrible deal and you should run for your life and don't do it. So if you like to learn by seeing people bringing live deals, then show up tomorrow night and we'll go through a couple of deals, hopefully. And if you've got a great deal, join Apex. You can submit your deal and we'll bring you up on the show for the Shark Tank. All right.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Lynn.
Thanks for having
Thank you very
me.
much. That was a lot of
Thanks,
fun. You were
guys.
great.
Yeah, it was.
Can't wait to do another one with you.
Sounds good.
Good night, everybody. Bye.
Good night.
This is Emmanuel, and in just 3 weeks, he found the deal of a lifetime, negotiated an offer, got it accepted, found the EMD from a third party, me, and then found the buyer to sell it. Now, how did he do all of that? He's a member of the Flip Flop Flipper Apex community. And inside of Apex, he was able to find the buyer who's an operator. He was able to find someone who wanted to put up the money, and he's got the deal of a lifetime done, and is going to make $40,000 on his very first deal. So if that sounds good to you, and you want to be like Emmanuel, comment Apex, and I'll send you the link.